Take practice.
You can see the screen yet or no? Are you able to see the screen?
Now, yes.
Now.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. ॐ प्रातः स्मरामि हृदि संस्फुरदात्मतत्त्वम् सच्चित्सुखं परमहंसगतिं तुरीयम् यत्स्वप्नजागरसुषुप्तमवैति नित्यम् तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः तपोभिक्षीणपापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिणां मुमुक्षूणामपेक्षोऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते बोधोऽन्यसाधनेभ्यो हि साक्षान्मोक्षैकसाधनम् आकस्य वह्निवज्ञानं विना मोक्षो न सिद्ध्यति
Hari Om.
Hari Om. We'll chant from
Om.
verses Hari Om, Hari Om. We'll chant from verses 14 to 18. Verse number 14 to 18 of chapter 3. अन्नाद्भवति भूतानि पर्जन्यादन्नसम्भवः यज्ञाद्भवति पर्जन्यः यज्ञः कर्मसमुद्भवः कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम् तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम् एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रम् नानुवर्तयतीह यः अघायुरिन्द्रियारामः मोघं पार्थ स जीवति यस्त्वात्मरतिरेव स्यात् आत्मतृप्तश्च मानवः आत्मन्येव च सन्तुष्टः तस्य कार्यं न विद्यते नैव तस्य कृतो नार्थः नाकृतेनेह कश्चन न चास्य सर्वभूतेषु कश्चिदर्थव्यपाश्रयः. Okay, chapter 3. Yajna. We've been discussing on the concept of Yajna. This is the heart and soul of Karma Yoga. Without Yajna, a karma is not a yoga, it's a bhoga. जब कर्म को आप यज्ञ भाव से करो तो वो योग बनता है. कर्म तो सब करते हैं, बट यज्ञ भाव से कौन करता है? तो when you do any action in the spirit of yajna, when your approach to life is that of a yajna, when your house is a yajna, when your workplace is a yajna, when any relationship is a yajna. And what is a yajna? A yajna is a symbiosis. It's a place where people come together to serve and contribute, play their part towards a higher goal. They put in their contributions into the fire of their ideal. So in any relationship, a relationship flourishes when there's a common goal or an ideal, something to work for. And when there's nothing to work for, create something to work for. Have a child. Age-old wisdom. शादी में कुछ गड़बड़ है, have a child. Well, what is a child? A child is a altar. It's something to work for. It's an ideal. I'm half joking, half serious. It's very wise when people don't have anything else to work for. I'm not saying you should only have a child when you don't have anything to work for. But I'm saying when you have nothing to work for, it's a very useful thing. It's a common goal for 20 years. It'll keep you together. So when there is a common goal, something to work towards, an alignment in that sense, any relationship flourishes, be it at the workplace, be it on the personal front. So bringing yajna to every aspect of your life makes your life a yoga. So is your life a yoga or a bhoga? Right? Okay. Are there any questions?
Thanks, Balaji.
Anji. Hari.
You said that the activities can be done in a bhoga way or in a yoga way. Every activity of our mundane life.
Indeed.
Now, how do we relate to our body and mind, fulfilling the demands of the body and mind in a yajna spirit, without getting into the trap of me and mine?
When you consider your body and mind as yours, but not you. So you've been given a body, you've been given a mind. When you consider them as yours, but not you, when you consider yourself as separate, distinct, but at the same time, your body and mind are those equipments, those beautiful equipments that are given to you. When you have that attitude, it's called Sakshi Bhav. You're a witness to your body, you're a witness to your mind, right? And it's a mark of true progress spiritually when you're able to do that. What is the ego? The ego is nothing but a black market value and obsession and exaggerated importance to your material equipments. When you completely get obsessed with your body, when you get completely obsessed with your mind, my body, my feelings, my senses, my wishes, my wants, me, that's ego. But when you're able to maintain a healthy distance, when you're able to maintain a witness, the role of a witness towards your own body and mind, that is that is true freedom from egoism. That is true growth above the ego, rising above the ego. But that doesn't mean you disregard it. You treat it as yours, but not you. Big difference. So when you have that relationship with your mind and body, then you realize that they are beautiful tools that have been given to you to play your part. You have been sent into this world, and essentially these are ingredients with which you have to cook, right? So we've been using the metaphor of cooking. Those who cook for their own sake eat sin. Those who don't cook but want to eat, they are thieves. Those who cook and are happy with the remnants of sacrifice, they are sattvic. So when you look at your body and mind as equipments to cook in this world is a big cauldron. Hmm? You've been to Ajmer Sharif Dargah or any of those
No, sir.
dargahs?
No,
They
sir.
have
No.
a huge cauldron. They have a huge, I think they cook for hundreds and thousands of people. Similarly, a lot of temples and I'm sure, Gurudwaras and all, they have these huge, massive cauldrons. Like that, this world is a huge cauldron in which, you know, everything is being cooked. So your body and mind are simply ingredients or tools with which you cook in this world, right? You perform action, you serve, you play your part. So when you have that relationship, automatically to serve, to play your part, to cook, you need to take care of them, right? You need to keep your body in a healthy condition. You need to keep your mind in good spirits. So you develop a beautiful relationship with your mind. You develop a beautiful relationship with your body. It's like between a parent and a child. You don't want to spoil it, but neither do you want to suppress it, right? You don't want to spoil it and indulge it and be at the mercy of its women fancies. Whatever your body demands, you don't want to just cater to it, cave to it. Whatever your mind wishes. See, what is ziddi? There's a word in Hindi called ziddi. Ziddi is when the mind insists on something and wants it, and at all costs, you're a victim of your own mind. You don't want to be a victim of your own mind, but at the same time, you don't want to suppress it. You don't want to keep it disheartened. So that middle path in treating your body and your mind, keeping it hale and healthy, nourishing it, but at the same time, understanding very clearly that these are tools that I need to use to play my part in this world. When you have that relationship with your mind and body, you're good. Elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, this knowledge is those who don't eat too much nor eat too little. Those who don't sleep too much nor sleep too little. Means it's a middle path. You need to eat, but not too much. You don't indulge, but neither starve. Cater to your mind and body, because to function, to serve you, to play their part, they have their demands. Mm. To serve you, your mind has its demands. And as you grow spiritually, your body and mind has less and less demands. Mm.
Come again, sir. I don't
A
get you the last.
sage, as you grow spiritually, your body and mind has less and less demands. A spiritually evolved person, their body has only basic demands. Whatever you feed them, you give them a few nuts and they'll be happy with that. AC, no AC. See, which is why when we were in the ashram, no, we were taught this lesson. People find it absolutely befuddling, but there were no fans in the room. Forget ACs. Hmm. And earlier Swamiji's logic was that, oh, the ashram is in Lonavala, so you don't need fans. But at least when I was there, global warming had already taken its toll. So we used to have 45-degree afternoons in the summer. Imagine no fan. Hmm. It's a wonderful lesson that we were taught. That are you a slave to the body's demands? Hmm. The body, of course, will be a little uncomfortable. But how to not succumb? How to not succumb? We used to fast for one meal in a week, on Friday night. Interestingly, there used to be many nights when food was available and people said, I don't want to eat. I'm not hungry. But the day food was not given, the body will play its tricks. Oh, let's find a way to sneak out of the ashram, go down the road. People used to, oh God, ashram stories. Ashram is like if you've lived in a hostel, it's like any other hostel. So people used to get um, very creative. So, oh my God, I don't know if I should reveal these secrets out here or not. But one thing I have seen happen is how to get creative, right? You don't have a toaster, you have bread, and you have an iron. Connect the dots. Hmm.
I can relate to your
Cruel,
Paripurna example, sir.
cruel ashram people keeping us hungry, and we succumb to the body and we get creative. So, so how to not succumb to the demands of the body and the mind, how to keep it happy, but also, you know, use it for the bigger purpose of the yajna that is your life. That's the relationship you should have with your mind and body. I hope that answers your question.
One small extension. When we say it is a tool used for the yajna purpose, again, a relationship of my tools has come. You're talking about
Indeed.
me and mine. So does not the mind will have an effect on me? It is my tools.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Absolutely. So see, the first is to distinguish. It's a gradual, this freedom from ego is a gradual growth. It happens in two distinct steps. Right now, you think you are the body, you think you are the mind, right? So you're completely glued to it. First, we need to create that separation. They are yours, but not you, right? That's one level of growth. Further growth is they're not even mine. They are simply given to me for some time to play my part. Complete separation. So that me first reduce the meanness, then reduce the mindness. That's the ultimate spiritual growth, right? But it happens in stages. You can't go from complete meanness to complete egolessness. It's not possible. The practical way is to, you know, uh, have this two-stage approach, and that's the role of the yajna. As you perform the yajna, you see yourself as merely an instrument playing their part. You become an instrument of the Lord. So, as you function in this spirit, the effect of the mindness will also reduce if you function in the spirit. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Rituji.
So I had a question which was, you said Sakshi Bhav and you just explained about who's observing. I'm a little confused about who is this I when we spoke of the Sakshi Bhav, uh, sir. That's my question. I mean, the one who's observing, what is that?
Just stay with this question. If you can stay with this question, because the point is not to get an answer to this question, the point is to stay with this question. If you truly have this question and if you stay with it, you will become Ramana Maharishi. Hmm? See, it's very easy for me to give you an answer that I is the Atman, that I is the self, that I is the your true nature. Your ego is simply a layer of ignorance. Your ego is merely a layer of ignorance that has been placed upon your true nature, the I, the Atman, the self. It's what in Vedanta we call Atman, right? In English we call it the self. It's the Godhood in you.
Yes, sir. So,
So
yes, sir.
when yeah, let me complete. So when you pluck your attention, your identification from your material equipments to this I, that is spiritual growth, right? Egoism is the emphasis you place on your material equipments. These material equipments, the body, the mind, the intellect, your vasanas, your personality, these are all temporary layers of ignorance that have been placed upon you. They come and go and they change over a period of time. Your body changes very visibly. Your mind changes. Hmm? Your intellect changes slower, but it still changes. Your vasanas, they evolve. They take a long time, but they change. But there is something in you that remains constant, that remains there. It's the same you believe is the same I 30, 40 years ago. You recall, when I was a child, I did this. When I was a youth, I did this. When I am this age, I want to do this. When I will grow up further or when I will grow old, I will do this. The I remains the same. What the I describes is changing. The I was earlier describing a child. The I then described a young person. The I right now described a middle-aged person. The I tomorrow will describe an old person. The attributes you associate with the I are changing. But when you say I, you mean the same entity, don't you?
You do, but isn't that I, the one that you've just spoken of, is the
Mm.
ego?
No.
They say, I mean, just the example that you just gave,
Mm.
I am this, and when I grow up, I'm this. So how is that not the ego?
When the I associates with your material equipments, When the I associates with the personality, it's called the ego. Hmm?
Yes.
When the I associates with the material personality, it's called the ego. If you want to break it down anatomically, the ahankara, the I, it's called the ahankara. It's it's an entity of your subtle body, sukshma sharira. You have a man, buddhi, chit, and a sthula sharira, a gross body. When this ahankara associates itself with the man, it says my mind. I am the mind. I am feeling happy. I am feeling sad. It's the ahankara associating with the man. The ahankara associating with the buddhi. I am in the intellect. I am smart. I know. I understand. Let me explain to you. I. When the I associates with the body, I am feeling hot. I am feeling cold. So where is that I associated with? When the I is associated with the body, with the mind, the intellect, it's called the ego.
Yeah.
Aham bhav. The entire role of the spiritual journey is to disassociate the I from the material equipments and redirect it. It's a question. That's why I'm saying the answer is not important. The disassociation is important,
Yes.
right?
True.
The whole idea of the inquiry is what is this I? Because clearly, this I, while you relate it to the body, today you're relating the I to the body. The I remains the same, but the body is constantly changing. So, which body are you relating to? Are you relating to the body from yesterday? Are you relating to the body from today? It's changed. It may not be visible. Okay, are you relating to the body from 2 years ago? Before 30 or after 30? Big difference in the body. Huh? Are you relating to the child's body, which had a very tender body? Are you relating to the old person's body, which is, clearly decaying body? Which body are you relating to? So it's a chance to inquire. What is this I? Hmm. Vedanta's message is that I, unqualified I, we are qualifying it with the body, we're qualifying it with the mind. But when you unqualified, when you remove all the qualifications, that pure, simple, unqualified I, that's the Atman. When you think of I, immediately an aspect of the body, the aspect of the mind will come into play. When you think I, you'll see, you'll feel a certain emotion. Why? Because you relate the I to the mind. When you think of I, you'll think of something physical because you relate the I to the body. But when you're able to peel it back, remove this unnecessary identification, grow above this identification, that is the spiritual evolution. And which is why earlier when we were talking about first create a separation, then create a complete disassociation. First, see your body, your mind, your intellect not as you but yours. You can't immediately completely disassociate from it. The I cannot be snapped out of it, right? First, give it a healthy distance. Try this basic separation. They are mine, but they're not me. If the body is suffering, why am I suffering? If the body is inconvenienced, why am I inconvenienced? If the
So,
mind
sir,
is disturbed, why am I disturbed? Right? That thought will make you a little less impulsive, a little less reactive, a little less, um, you know, they'll throw less
judgment.
tantrums. You'll not jump to conclusions. You'll not be judgmental. You create this slight healthy distance. Then most people are happy with that much. Huh?
Mm.
I'm learning a lot in my Vedanta classes. If you go to that level, you'll be above 95% of people in this world. Then if you want to go further, Then we'll talk. Then we'll talk about what's the I. Then we'll talk about sadhana. Then we'll talk about sakshi bhav. Then we'll talk about complete disassociation. Then we'll talk about being a complete witness. So, two stages. First, an objectivity, then a complete disassociation. Sorry, you had other questions, which I was interrupting you with.
No, no, no. So actually, like you said, I have to sit with the question because I mean, what I thought that when I'm in Sakshi Bhav, let's say now and whenever, as a so even at that time, I am observing myself as Ritu, as what I am. So how is that Atman? I mean, is my thing. I was thinking that Atman is deeper somewhere, which is not in the picture at all this while. Because they say
See,
Atman, yes,
when
sir.
you start, you don't have any other name to give yourself because you only know yourself as Ritu,
Hmm.
right? When you start your process of self-observation, of course, you have no other association. You don't know what else to call it. So you call yourself Ritu. But slowly, gradually, you will realize that Ritu also is a Nama Rupa.
Mm-hmm.
Ritu is a name
Exactly.
that you've given this form.
Mm.
Okay. It takes a little while to get comfortable with that kind of thinking. But eventually, that is what you that is what you realize. Hmm. I am Ritu in the waking state. I in the dream state I am Charu. Uh, Maybe in my previous incarnation I was Rashmi. God knows. Nama Rupa. So in this incarnation, I am called Ritu. In this incarnation, I have this body, but this is not the end, and this was not the start. I existed before Ritu started. I will continue before after Ritu ends. That's the kind of thought you entertain, right?
Mm.
But you have to become comfortable with that thought. It takes some time.
नीचे से ऊपर लिख के आओ, नीचे से ऊपर, हाँ ऐसे।
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you.
Anji, any other question? I think Ankit and
Do we
Pragya had their hands up.
more questions or should I ask later? Last.
Ask it.
So I just have this question which you had translated the book. In that there's a word called Yogakshema.
Yogakshema. Anji.
That I wanted to understand. And second thing is when we reflect in the evening, suppose we are sitting with ourselves and we are reflecting, and we realize we have in the during the day we reflected and we have said. So, can we do any kind of paschatap or any kind of can we punish ourselves in a smaller way so that we don't repeat that mistake? Can we do that? Can we do something?
I'll answer your second question first. Why do you don't have to punish yourself? Huh? Nature will punish you if it has to. So be kind with yourself. Be lenient. Don't be unaccountable. But unnecessary guilt is not worth it. Your realization itself is a guilt. If you have to suffer, you will suffer. Hmm. The effect of indulgence will be an extra few pounds, extra few kilos. Uh, Nature will give you that, the lesson you have to learn. So don't, there are different perspectives to this, and I won't say any is right. It depends on who you are, at what stage you are, um, and how rigorous you are and you wish to be. Okay, there are gurus who will be extremely strict in their ways and their disciplines. Um, nothing to say which is right, which is wrong. I think different things work for different people, but at least what works for me and how our guru has taught us is that he created an environment of discipline but gave freedom, right? And um, freedom to make choices, freedom to make mistakes, freedom to realize and make self corrections, because the true belief is what is forced is not forceful, right? um, what is generated from within is truly lasting. So there's no need to force you know um, anything. If nature has to give you a lesson, it will teach you a lesson, or if it has to inconvenience you in any way, it will do that. Yoga Kshema, not entirely relevant at this in this context, but I'll quickly point to what Yoga Kshema is. Yoga and Kshema has several interpretations depending on where in the book you picked it up from, because it has a mundane interpretation, it has a very spiritual interpretation also. So success in the spiritual path and success on the mundane journey, both yoga and kshema, right? So the guarantee of the Lord is that if you follow this this sadhana, you will get success not only in the spiritual journey but even in your worldly journey. Yoga and kshema is guaranteed. Yoga kshema mahamyaham will be guaranteed both success spiritually and materially, right? So that's one interpretation, and that's the most commonly accepted interpretation. But there is a place in the book, since you mentioned, alluded to the book, it'll depend on which verse you're talking about, because there's a slightly different interpretation in in another verse. So the most popular verse where this particular word comes is verse number 22 of chapter 9. Yoga kshema mahamyaham. Okay. Yeah, Nitin. Yes.
Hi. So I had a
Hi.
question
Thank you.
on verse. I know you've explained this earlier, but I'm not able to understand it. I read it a couple of times. I couldn't understand it. Verse 12 and 13 of chapter 2,
Achha, 12
where
and
it
13.
says,
Uh,
that, I will never cease to exist.
mm,
So then he talks of two things, which is Atma, and he talks of mind, intellect. And he gives an example that, the mind is like the electricity, and the Atma is like the electricity, and the mind, intellect, is like the bulb, right? So I'm not able to relate to it. I'm not able to relate to it. I'm not able to understand what is mind, intellect mean over here. So, and what does it mean? So what do you mean? How can I relate to it? And if mind, intellect is there, is basically is not ceasing to exist. What is it? Is it my nature? So, in my Pishla Janams, is my nature the same? Whatever I
okay.
didn't
Stop.
understand this at
Enough,
all.
enough.
Right.
I got the question. I got the
Yeah,
question.
okay. All
Uh,
right. Okay.
Nattvevaham jatunasam, natvam neme janadhipaha. Beautiful verse. Nachaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayamatah para. Never indeed was I not, nor you, nor these rulers of men, and none of us will cease to be hereafter. This has to be seen in conjunction with the previous verse. The previous verse, one of the
Right.
most incredible verses of the Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord says, "You have been grieving for those that should not be grieved for. Ashochanan vashochastvam. And yet you speak words of wisdom. Prajnavadamsha bhashase. Gatasuna gatasumscha na anushochanti panditaha. The wise grieve neither for the living nor the dead, and you are talking big, and you're grieving. If you're truly
Right.
wise, you wouldn't be grieving. So, what is this wisdom? This wisdom is an understanding that life and death, birth and death, coming and going are a part of the game.
Right.
Okay? The wise grieve neither for the living, neither do they have pity or grief or a sense of helplessness about those who are living, nor do they grieve for those that have departed. Everything that
Correct.
comes and goes is a part of this cosmos,
Yeah.
is a part of this cycle of karma, right? At the same time, when I say this, you think you've understood. Yeah, everything is living, everything is dead. No, it's part of life. Then he gives a googly. He throws a dusra, as they say in cricket. He says, "Never indeed was I not, nor you, nor these rulers of men. Also, none of us will cease to be hereafter." So you think you've understood, but actually he's saying no. Beyond the living and the dead, beyond coming and going, there is something that does not cease to exist, that is eternal,
Right.
that was there before the beginning, that continues after the end. Never indeed was I not, nor you, nor these rulers of men. There's something in I, in you, in all these rulers of men that is coming and going, and then there is something in us that is permanent. There is a part of you that is impermanent, and there is a part of you. Distinguishing between the two is wisdom. Nitya, Anitya, Viveka Vichara, distinguishing between the real and the unreal, the eternal and the ephemeral. So, what is the ephemeral? What is the transient? What is the unreal? What is the passing? What is the impermanent? The impermanent is your body, mind, intellect. Okay, so don't confuse it. Don't confuse it with. Let's try to make this very simple. Okay, previous life, this life, next life, all that. Don't confuse it. What is impermanent is your body, mind, intellect, your physical form, your emotional personality, or your intellectual personality. These are impermanent. They change over time. They have a process of birth, growth, disease, decay, death. Right? Body, it's very clear. You can understand how it is born, it
Right.
grows, it has disease.
Right. Right.
Similarly, your mind also. The mind is born in a baby. You should observe it. It's wonderful. It grows, it develops an awareness, it develops emotions. Hmm. I'm a mama, and I get very excited when my nephew reacts to me positively. Let me tell you, he really likes me. Okay, he always smiles when he sees me, and he gets very excited. He's reacting. His mind is developing. A very nascent mind is slowly developing. It'll grow. It'll grow to a certain stage. Then slowly diseases will creep in. Egoism will creep in. Likes and dislikes will creep in. Mental agonies will creep in. These are diseases of the mind. Complexes will creep in. Then eventually there'll be a decay, and then it'll. What is decay? We all are aware of various diseases of the mind, Alzheimer's
Right.
or etc., whatever.
Dementia.
Dementia. These are all decays of the mind and the intellect. Similarly, the intellect is growing. It's born. In fact, it's not. The intellect is not born at birth. The intellect is born slightly later, which is why you have the thread ceremony in the Hindu tradition. The thread ceremony is when your your awareness is born, your capacity to think is born. It happens a little later. After it doesn't happen at physical birth. It's your second birth, dvija, as it were, dvaja, as it were. So the intellect is born, it grows, it develops some diseases, you develop some confusions and inabilities to comprehend. It decays. Your capacity to learn, it decays over time, and then it dies. So your body, mind, intellect goes through this process of birth, growth, disease, decay, death. But there is something in you beyond these equipments which remains. And that, what Rituji asked earlier, is the I. There is something in you which you call I. When I was a child, when I am young, when I will grow old, that same I, which associates at different times with different material equipments, at different stages, but that I remains the same. That I in you, in fact, existed before this material equipments were born, before this entity was born. Your birth wasn't the beginning of the I, and your death will not be the end of this I. This I will continue into the next incarnation. So this I is the permanent. This I is the permanent, and this body, mind, intellect is the impermanent. So when he says, never indeed was I, not nor you, nor these rulers of men, he's talking about that I. He's talking about the Atman, beyond your body, beyond your mind, beyond your intellect, beyond your Sthula Sharira, your Sukshma Sharira, and your Karana Sharira lies your Atman. There is something in you which you allude to, which you don't quite know, which you can't feel, you can't see, you can't hear, you can't quite comprehend fully. But there is that entity, that I, which you call I, that Atman in you, that is permanent. This is what he's alluding to. So beings constantly go through a process of birth and death, coming and going, manifestation and unmanifestation, and in their essence, they are eternal. You are eternal. I am eternal. When we talk about the I, this body, this form, this nature, this personality, that's fleeting. I can talk a lot more about it, but what is the question? Now you tell me, what is the actual question?
No, that I need to grasp it. I think this will not happen at one go. I need to read it more. I need to understand this.
ठीक है?
So
If you
let
come
me
back with your
absorb it.
actual question,
Yeah, Lumpy,
it's helpful to know the
let me
concept.
absorb it. I still
Sure.
don't understand what do you mean by I, but let me read through it. Let me do my own
Yeah.
reading and understanding, and then come back.
No.
Okay? All right. Thanks.
Okay. See, I'm purposely not elaborating on what I mean by the I, because you have to become cognizant that there is something you call I. You don't know what that I is, but you say I. You don't know what exactly you refer to when you say I, but you say I, right? Quantum, asking that question is sadhana. Who am I? That is what sadhana is, right? The answer is very simple. Vedanta says the I is the Atman. The answer is there for us. It's like, in math, we have the answers. It's very easy to get to the answer. It's very easy to know the answer, but how did you get to the answer? That is the actual realization, right? So, with the Vedantic message that the I is the Atman, the realization is the actual sadhana, that I am the Atman. I is the Atman, right? So, what's more important is to become aware that I am constantly using this phrase, I, without actually knowing what is it that I'm referring to. And in this confusion, because I'm not questioning it, that's the reason why my egoism is just flourishing. It's becoming a mass. I've become a mass of egoism. But the more I become aware of it, the more I'm freed from my own ego. The more I contemplate upon it, the more I actually become aware of the fact that the I is not the body, the I is not the mind, the I is not the intellect. That's gradual spiritual freedom. Okay, let's proceed. Can we? With the risk of not stagnating, although no question is unimportant, but let's hold the questions for the next class. Okay. Verse number 13. So we've been talking about yajna. In the last class, we talked about the tamasic, rajasic, and sattvic person. The rajasic person cooks for their own sake and eats sin. They remain agitated. Sin is mental agitation. They remain agitated in Even despite having the pleasures of life and all the conveniences of life, they eat sin. And the righteous, the truly evolved, the righteous are those who eat the remnants of sacrifice. They cook, they serve, they play their part, and are happy with what is left over. They serve and they live for the sake of others. That's sattvic. Verse number 14 and 15, we'll read together. Annad bhavati bhutani parjanyad anna sambhavaha yajnad bhavati parjanyaha yajna karma samudbhavaha karma brahmodbhavam vidhi brahmakshara samudbhavam tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yajne pratishtitam. From food comes forth beings, from rain food is produced, from yajna arises rain, and from yajna is born, and yajna is born of action. So from food come forth beings, from rain food is produced, from yajna arises rain, and yajna is born of action. What's happening? Know that action arises from Brahma and Brahma from the imperishable. Therefore, the all-pervading Brahman ever rests in yajna, sacrifice. How easy it would be if he just explained it simply what he wanted to say. Brahma, Brahman, food, rain. What is he talking about? Let's keep 15 aside for a second. Let's focus on 14. Also 14, let's read it backwards. If you read it from the starting, it's a little confusing. Let's read it backwards. Yajna is born of action. Yajna is born of action. From yajna arises rain. From rain, food is produced. From food come forth beings. Simple, no? Someone tell Sage Vyasa. It would have been much simpler had he written in this order. From food comes forth beings. From rain, food is produced. What am I reading? When you read it backwards, it's so simple. Yajna is born of action. From yajna arises rain. From rain, food is produced. From food come forth beings. Yajna is born of action. What does that mean? Yajna is a specific kind of action. It's a type of action. Among all actions that are possible in this world, selfish action, unselfish action, selfless action, yajna is selfless activity. So out of the universe of all action, yajna is a particular kind of action. The spirit of service and sacrifice is a particular kind of action in the universe of action. From yajna arises rain. What does yajna lead to? What is yajna lead to? It leads to rain. Now he's continuing with a metaphor. Last two verses, he talked about the metaphor of cooking and eating. So he's sort of continuing with that metaphor of cooking and eating and producing and stuff like that. From yajna arises rain. What is rain? What is rain? Think of Lagan. You know Lagan, the movie? The old lady. Of course, she wasn't praying for rain. She was praying for victory in the cricket match. But that song should come to your head. Oh, Palanhare. Why did they have to play the cricket match? Because they couldn't produce food. Why couldn't they produce food? Because there was no rain. Rain is that conducive environment for prosperity. Where there is rain, there is prosperity. Where there is prosperity, you won't have to suffer at the hands of. There's no suffering, right? So rain is a conducive environment for collective prosperity. We're all a nation that is at its cusp of prosperity. We have come out of a lot of suffering in the last couple of 100 years. What will bring us this prosperity? This is a beautiful message of the Gita that no one listens to. The spirit of yajna. Someone used the example of Japan last class. Yajna brings about rain, brings about a conducive environment for prosperity. How does a nation change within 50 years after having been defeated? Beautiful example. Yajna. From yajna arises rain. A rain is a conducive environment when things are put in place for everyone to flourish. And this rain brings a lot of food. From this rain, food is produced. Food is things for people to consume, enjoy, and keep themselves hale and healthy with. So food doesn't just mean physical food. It could mean anything you can consume and nourish yourself with. Food for your mind, positive emotions. Food for your intellect, thoughts. There is progress. There is scientific growth. There is evolution. There is spiritual growth. So from yajna, rain is produced, and this rain leads to food. And with this food come forth beings.
Raju,
Beings are
Raju,
flourished and propagated through beings are flourished and propagated through food. So simple, understand this. Actions, among all actions, a subset of actions is yajna. And yajna is what leads to prosperity. Without yajna, there is no prosperity. People cook for their own sake and they eat sin. There's agitation, there's suffering. And this is the collective disorder. You see it all around the world. Collective disorder. It's almost impossible to have yajna at a national level. Almost impossible. Having it at an individual level is also so difficult. So imagine that's why an example of Japan is so incredible. That's why it's so wonderful, when you go to Japan and they're so courteous, they bow to you, they give you the way. Oh, it's like, what is this yajna? Where's it coming from? What is this special nation in this corner of the earth? That's what's so wonderful. So for beings to grow, flourish, you need food. This food will only come from rain, and this conducive environment will only be possible when there is a yajna. This is true at an individual level. This is true at the level of your family. This is true at the level of your community. This is true at the level of a nation. Forget the nation. Even forget the community for now. At least try to practice this in your home. If you want your home to flourish and your beings to propagate, hum do hamari char. If you want that, you must have the attitude of yajna. Which is why, a visionary leader in a family, a patriarch or a matriarch who can guide and who can be that symbol and have that position of, the yajna bhav. It's true. Even in my family. In my family, some people will be aware who are from. There are these people whose aura lasts for generations. Their impact lasts for generations, right? Because their lives have been lived in the spirit of yajna. In the spirit of yajna, they have overcome all the obstacles of their time, and their example serves to inspire, others for generations, right? So if you can be take that position. The funny thing is that the interesting thing, almost the paradoxical thing is that to the outside person, that person is going through a lot of suffering or struggle. The word sacrifice used out here, you think, oh, you have to sacrifice, means you have to give up a lot of things. But the wonderful thing is that those who have a yajna bhav, for them sacrifice is not difficult at all. For them sacrifice is nourishing. The word sacrifice is very misleading because we think sacrifice means suffering. Sacrifice is suffering for those who don't want to sacrifice. Sacrifice is suffering for those who find it hard to give who find it hard to survive because they are holding on to me, my, what they think is theirs. But those who've developed the attitude of giving, it's literally load shedding. The kind of nourishment, the kind of joy, the kind of peace that comes through Yajna Bhav. So sacrifice is not difficult for those who truly sacrifice. Sacrifice is difficult for those who don't know how to sacrifice, who haven't tasted the joy of sacrifice. To a third person who's seeing, oh my God, they're doing so much, it must be so difficult for them. So if you have a selfish mindset, if you have an egoistic mindset, for you, looking at someone who is unselfish means, oh, they are giving up on life, they are struggling, they are not enjoying. The opposite is true. And he's going to come to that in verse number 16. But before we jump there, verse number 15. So we've understood from action comes yajna, yajna comes food, rain, rain comes food, food comes being. Where does action come from? Action arises from Brahma. And Brahma arises from the imperishable. So from the imperishable arises Brahma, and from Brahma arises action. The imperishable is Brahman. The imperishable is Brahman, which is different from Brahma. The N makes all the difference. The imperishable is Brahman, the all-pervading reality, what you want to call God, big G God, is Brahman. It's the imperishable. Akshara. It's inconceivable. Achintya. It's cannot be comprehended, incomprehensible. It's anadi, unending. It's infinite. The imperishable, anadi, achintya, akshara, Brahman, paramam, akshara, Brahma paramam, chapter 8. Akshara Brahma paramam, the highest, the supreme. So the imperishable is the supreme, the reality, the big G God, what in English you call God. From God arises Brahma. Brahma is a deity. Brahma is a small G God. Brahma is a small G God, like the pantheon of gods. But among the pantheon also, if you want to, give a hierarchy, if you want to have an org chart of all small G gods, then Brahma is higher up. So if Brahman is CEO, then Brahmaji is first level of the org. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. The most fundamental aspects of this creation, the most fundamental aspects of this manifest, this perishable world. From the imperishable arises the perishable world. This world, this universe, this cosmos is perishable. From the imperishable arises the perishable world. And Brahmaji is the COO, or maybe the CMO, Chief Manufacturing Officer. Brahmaji CMO, not marketing, manufacturing, Chief Manufacturing Officer. Vishnuji is COO, Chief Operating Officer. He finds the method in the madness. I haven't found a designation for Mahesh yet. I'll think about it and get back to you. But CEO is Brahman, Chief Manufacturing Officer is Brahma, right? So from the imperishable rises this perishable world, and the CMO of this perishable world is Brahma, the creator, what we call the creator, because he's given the role of being the creator. And this is symbolic. In this cosmos, three fundamental forces, creation, maintenance, and destruction, are happening constantly, simultaneously, at any moment. What is this power? The capacity to create, the capacity to emerge, the capacity to arise, the capacity to start existing. That capacity is Brahma. And how does propagation happen? How does creation happen? It happens through action. So all action arises from this capacity to create. Right? So from the imperishable arises Brahma, and from Brahma arises action. Know that action arises from Brahma, and Brahma has come from the imperishable Brahman, the all-pervading Brahman, rests in yajna. This yajna bhav is what sustains, nourishes, propagates this entire cosmos. So the all-pervading reality, and in fact, yajna bhav is how you can go back, return to Brahman. In the Vedantic philosophy, the idea is that you and I, we have all landed here out of ignorance. From the imperishable, this perishable world has been created out of ignorance. And our job is to return to that realization, that awakening, to go back to Brahman. We have lost the state of Brahman. And how do you get back to Brahman? First of all, by functioning in a spirit of yajna bhav. Otherwise, we will be caught in this endless cycle of samsara. So, this all-pervading Brahman rests in yajna. Through yajna, you will return to Brahman. So, beautiful symbolism, which will make more sense as you become familiar with the philosophy, right? For Arjuna, it's very simple. Maybe he was familiar with the philosophy, so he could understand these terms and these metaphors very easily. For you and me, as we become more familiar, we'll be more comfortable with this beautiful metaphor. With that thought, I've spoken a lot. Lots of questions. I think there are a couple of more questions, is it? Do you have to pause? Okay. So we'll conclude today's discussion. Okay, and I'll take up one or two questions that are there in the chat before we conclude. So Divya ji has asked, do you have to constantly remind yourself about this disassociation? Yes, so we're talking about disassociating with the body, mind, intellect. Do you have to remind yourself of this disassociation? Yes, until it becomes second nature. Until it becomes second nature, you have to wake up in the early hours of the morning and contemplate upon the eternal self, which is distinct from the body, mind, intellect, which is why we chant in the morning. Prata smarami hridi samsfuradatma tattvam satchitsukam paramaham sagyatim turiyam yat swapna jagar sushupti maveti nityam tad brahma nishkalam aham. That Brahman aham, I am, nacha bhuta sangaha, not this assemblage of elements, not this body, this mind, this intellect. It's a constant reminder we have to give ourselves every morning. It's a nourishing thought with which we have to wake up and start our day. We cannot force this disassociation. We cannot see, the Mahamrityunjay mantra. What is the Mahamrityunjay mantra?
About the how a cucumber. It's
Triambakam
about
yajamahe
moksha.
sugandhim.
So,
Urva rukamiva bandhanat mrityu mukshiya mamrita. Triambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urva rukamiva bandhanat mrityu mukshiya mamritat. Contemplating on Shiva, on the three-eyed, the third-eyed Shiva, the three-eyed Shiva, the wonderful Shiva. You evolve, you gradually evolve. And how do you evolve? Urva rukamiva bandhanat. He's talking about a cucumber plant which separates from the stalk. If you've ever grown plants, if you've been around gardening, very fibrous, the any of these gourds, they're very fibrous, and the gourds themselves are very heavy. But when the fruit is ripe, when the cucumber or any other gourd is ripe, it just clicks off the stalk, like it comes off. You just have to turn a little bit and it comes off. If the cucumber is not ripe, if you try to pull it, then the stalk will not come off, and you'll probably have to tear it off, and there'll be a damage to the stalk. I don't know if it makes sense. For those who are gardeners, you'll understand what I'm saying, right? When the fruit is ripe, it'll just come off. But if the fruit is not ripe, there'll be a lot of suffering. It'll cause a tear. So this disassociation has its time. The disassociation happens. But yes, for that you have to constantly remind yourself. You have to remember Shiva, right? You have to contemplate upon Shiva and what Shiva represents, which is this Vedantic knowledge. As you grow in this awareness, as you grow with this understanding, as you proceed further on this journey, automatically you will ripen like a cucumber and you will pluck off the stalk, right? You will automatically get disassociated and you will rise above the cycle of birth and death, Mahamrityunjay. You'll get Jaya over Mrityu. So you have to constantly remind yourself of this disassociation until it becomes second nature, until you are aware that you are not the body, until you are aware that you're not the mind, you're aware that you're not the intellect. Okay. Okay, I have a little bit of a hard stop because in exactly 1 hour and 7 minutes I have a flight. So I'm going to run to the airport now. I got a little carried away. I just got a message on my phone. But thank you very much. And we'll see you again on Thursday. Keep your questions and we'll see you on Thursday with more questions. Yeah.
Hari Om.
Okay.
Hari Om. Thank you so much.
Thank you